Perfect. Hello, Jeremy. Thank you for coming. My BS project is my take on music-based, procedurally generated video games. This means that you, as the player, get to choose any song or any audio clip, basically, from your computer, and the game will take it, process it, analyze it, and generate a unique game experience specific to the song you just chose. Now, like every video game, it follows the same game development lifecycle. Now, I'll be talking about it more generally. As any video game, these projects start with an idea or a concept. My concept is the game reacting to music. Now, the idea itself isn't worth much if you don't take your time in the design phase. Okay. If you don't take your time in the design phase where you polish the ideas and you set the plan of action. When this plan is set up and ready to go, you can go on to the development process, which is where the game is built and the project is brought to life. And finally, hopefully, if everything went according to plan, you will be rewarded with a fully fledged functional video game. Now, the details about my project are included in the document that is joined to this presentation. But this presentation itself aims to expand on these steps and illustrate the fruits of this multidisciplinary project that includes, of course, computer science, but also arts and physics. Now, let's talk about the story of the game. You, the player, you play as CounTracula. CounTacula is a blind bat, and what's special about him is that normally bats will normally screech in order to locate themselves in space. But what Tracula does is use his magical speaker that he carries around and that he uses to locate himself. He can also use the waves from this same speaker to be concentrated into a beam that he can point at his enemies in order to defend himself. Now, here's a peek at the final product. We can see the sight waves being generated according to the music, which is muted right now, followed by the shooting, which stops the sight waves itself. Now, CounTracula was at his friend's mansion, and he was partying, doing whatever. When he was done, he went outside only to see himself getting attacked by the evil cat gang who wanted to take his magical speaker. So what he does is call his grandma really quick, come back me up, but it will be some time before she is here. So he must survive, he must defend himself. What he does is he chose the first song he finds and hits play. Now, as the player, the game starts here. You choose a song, the game starts, and you must survive for the entire length of the song, so that at the end of which the grandma can arrive, you can hop on with her, win the game. And now to the characters of the game. Start off with main character, CounTracula. He can go side to side, jump many times in the air, and glide on his way down. Then comes the grandma. She arrives briefly at the end of the game to pick you up, parks in midair, honks, picks you up and leave. Then comes Gangster Cat. He is the most basic type of enemy. He just walks slowly towards you but has really high health. Second enemy is Ninja Cat. He runs fast, has very low health, but does dash at you when he gets close enough. And third, Jetpack Cat. Average health, average speed, but he floats around in the air to prevent CounTracula from flying away. Now, onto the coding part. Now, for the coding part and the development part in general, it all started with one main question, we can say. How do I make the game? I have no idea. Anyways, quickly enough, after I started learning the Unity environment, other questions showed up. For example, as you saw the sight waves a while ago, how do I make these? Because if I just make them using light particles in the game, I found out that it would be too heavy on the CPU and it wouldn't be a good solution, so I had to solve that. Another main question, which took over the whole project, was... No, it's okay, just pretend it happened. How do I analyze the music in real time? So, my budget was very low, as the only funding I had was my personal my personal money that I had gathered, and I couldn't use pre-made tools or like pre-made services online. So I had to rely on more free resources. Seems like a good idea, right? Right? Yes, it was. But I faced many challenges during the making of this project, and some of the many challenges that I faced were basically, first of all, studying the Unity environment, which in itself it wasn't too hard. But online free resources were sometimes not very clear, and the process itself wasn't always as fast as expected. Then came, of course, acquiring professional grade of music analysis, which meant studying how digital music works and how to analyze it. And more often than not, there were no free solutions, and so I had to basically build my own functions myself most of the time. Same thing with elaborating the algorithms. Most of the algorithms were not found online, and I had to go ahead and develop them myself. Then came design of the background, the parallax background, the title, UI, and poster, as well as the conception and animation of the characters. Now here I did use the help of some freelance artists, not because I did have the skill set to make these, but for the sake of meeting my own deadlines, I just didn't have the time to do it. And so I talked to many artists. I went through a recruitment process, actually. But after five artists, I found out that doesn't help, because they're all, most of them tended to not meet their own deadlines. And some of them just, they didn't know how to draw well. So it wasn't always very helpful. Achieving interactive game design, so as any game should be, it should be balanced, should not be too easy, not too hard, to provide for a good experience. Make the game work for every music the player might choose. Now, the game works with every music one chooses, but I had to make sure that the experience would be enjoyable. For example, if I like rock and roll, the game should be playable with rock and roll. It shouldn't just be boring. Learning the OpenGL shader language. Now, remember when I said the site waves were hard to make with the CPU? My solution was to actually use the help of the GPU to process these, and therefore I had to learn the OpenGL shader language, which runs on the GPU, unlike C#, which runs on CPU exclusively. The fine-tuning of every aspect of the game, of course, it's like any project, it took some time. But mainly, all of that was from scratch, definitely, so that was hard. But finally, after 4 months of work, I managed to do it. And here's how I did it. I will now try to answer my question about how I made the music analysis part of my algorithms. Now, here's how it works. I started by isolating every frequency from the audio spectrum, from the audio signal of the song, using a process called the Fourier transform. Now, this obtains me a wide range of frequencies ranging from 20 to 20,000 Hertz. This is a lot of information, so I should summarize them into 5 categories, being bass, mid, high, and high. Combining all the frequencies together obtains me a variable, which is the volume. Now, combining the bass and the volume together gets me a very special variable called the intensity of music. This is the variable that will be mainly driving the game. Now, in order to make the site waves, which I used the OpenGL shader language for, I cycled through an array of white circles such as this one that expand one after the other. And then I combined my intensity of music to these expanding circles, which made the circles react to the music itself. We can clearly see how it's pulsating. But as it lacks color, I went ahead and in this example, I assigned the blues to the highs and the red to the bass again. Now, applying this system with randomized colors to my previous example obtains me this, which is colored waves. And basically, from there I had the basis of my game. The same process, almost the same process, was applied to the shooting system, which we can see here. The shooting itself is reactive to the music in both its shape and functions, which means that shooting with loud music will do more damage to enemies. And now, we have the basics set up, but this game, I know I said it worked for every type of game, but it is mainly directed toward electronic dance music. And one of the characteristics of electronic dance music is that it has moments of very high intensity, like peaks, also known as bass drops. And it was very important for the game to recognize these moments and react to them accordingly by abruptly accelerating the game, other factors. So I also did this algorithm that helped me detect these moments, and I will explain it now. Now, here are sorted the game starts by dividing the song into many sections called beats, because it detects its BPM, beats per minute. Now, after dividing it, it starts playing the song, and as it plays the song, each beat has its intensity of the music analyzed for the duration of it, and is stored in this list. Now, this list starts like here, n is basically the latest beat, and then n-1, n-2, up until n-7 being the 8th beat, the oldest one, after which, for example, if I analyze one more beat after this one, the n-7 will get thrown out, and all the variables will be shifted to the right, which is, it acts as a queue here, basically. Now, who here doesn't care about algorithms? Good. Okay, you may all focus. There are two conditions to be met in order to make the game detect that this current moment is intense. First condition, the beat itself must have an intensity of above 0.5, the beat n itself. And the beat n minus the beat n-1 divided by the average 8 beats will have to be above 1.5. If both these conditions are met, the computer will know that they have entered a period of intensity. So I will now let this example play so that you can get an idea of the detection. We can see the beats getting analyzed one after the other and progressing in the queue. You can notice the colors being represented. Now, you can notice that the intensity is high, but as the average is high as well, the conditions are not met. It will be met in a moment. Okay, so you got an idea? Now, sorry, just bear with me, I'm almost done. What else to code? So far, the music drives sight and shooting, but this being a music-based game, I really needed the music to be at the center of the game itself. So I went ahead and made it direct every other aspect of the game. such as enemy spawn rate, which means at what rate enemies appear, meaning that the louder the music, the more enemies will appear. Enemies walk speed, again, the louder, the faster the enemies. The duration of the game itself, as the game lasts for as long as the track it shows lasts. Pickup drop rate, so coins, extra lives will be dropped more frequently when the game is louder, and the music is louder. Animation of pickups and animation of backgrounds, meaning that coins, life pickups, and even details of the background will be reactive to the music itself. And you'll notice this in a minute because now is demo time. I have a small problem. I cannot hold the mic, use the keyboard and the mouse at the same time, so I will not be talking for the duration of this demo. But yeah, enjoy. Thank you. Great. So when you first enter the game, you're presented with the main menu, obviously. Pressing start will prompt you to choose a song. I will now put the mic, choose a song, and start the game. Thank you very much. Now, the presentation itself is done, but I owe some acknowledgements to people. So, because they really did not, like, they did make the game possible to make, because you might hear stories of a person who made the game themselves, but it's never the case. There are always many people behind it, even if emotionally. So thank you to Abdulrahman Al-Haj for their work in character design and concept art, as well as sprite sheets for Dracula, title design for Hussein Ayoub, parallax background for Rita Cararion, sprite sheets and NPCs for Virgilio Cortez, my supervisor Jamal Al-Darram, my moderator Danny Nini, video tutorial who helped with the OpenGL shader language, Mr. Sam Ronsky, and Mr. Sorry, the name is gone. Awkward. They'll come back in a minute, just wait. Yes. Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
Okay. Jeremy, first, I greet you for transforming a passion into a ABS project.
1 minute. Thank you to Rawat Sarkis for their work with the sprite animation. Go ahead.
then I thank you for making me a case to support the necessity of having multidisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity
Yes.
in what we teach.
Definitely.
But
But
this is not a computer science project.
okay.
This is maybe a project management project. And it passes as project, and it passes successfully as project in project management.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not asking, so don't answer.
Okay.
Okay.
What if I have an answer for that? Oh, go ahead, go on.
You spoke about algorithms.
Yes.
Who wrote those algorithms?
Myself, I couldn't find anything online, and I had to develop them myself, plan them out, make data structures, plan the hierarchy of the classes to communicate with each other, and then build upon these the algorithm that I just showcased. As I said, there is a document joined to this project itself. This document contains all the computer science stuff. This project, like the presentation itself, was meant to showcase the game as a whole and the clean of the algorithms and the programming, not more.
I'm eager to see this document.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because I believe that in what we saw, first we spoke about low budget.
Yes.
I don't think this is a low budget.
Oh, it was low budget. I like.
That's why I'm saying this is project.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, I understand.
Then there is for this presentation, independently of the whole work, how it is assessed, appreciated or not appreciated. You're trying to bluff us a little bit with music and the graphics. Even the algorithm you presented, where is computer science in it?
All right. First of all, about the budget itself. The budget was very low because the only money I had was money I gathered from my Dean's Honor list from one semester, so it's like $500.
Parents, مثلا, for that.
No, I'm independent. When it comes to the algorithms itself, I wish I could show you the code itself because it's really big, but the programming of the DSP itself, the digital signal processing, for the analysis of the music was pure programming because the libraries available were only the ones provided by the Unity engine, which just provides me with the spectrum analysis of the song. So everything after the first step in the video, when I said I obtained the 20,000 frequencies available to me, everything after that I just developed myself because it wasn't available to me. And even I was going to buy a tool for the analysis of music because I thought as a computer science student I didn't have to program these. I didn't find any tool.
But those that you developed,
yes.
Have you thought of posting them somewhere and making them open source with your name, getting a patent or something for them?
Now, it is. It's an idea I'm thinking of.
As a good project manager, you should think of this.
No, I did think about it, but the initial idea of the game was to publish it and sell it. Now I had problems because this game was supposed to be on Steam by now. Steam is a platform. But the problem is Steam and other platforms only use PayPal, which is not available in Lebanon, unfortunately. So now, like in the past 2 weeks after I realized this, only then it became a good idea to maybe make the game open source, not only the code, but the sprite animations themselves, the parallax backgrounds.
The components, at least, those that...
Yes, definitely the components and everything that I made myself. Thank you.
I have class at 8 every Tuesday and Thursday. My student knows this very well.
Yes.
And I had a chance to meet with Jeremy every TTH and discuss with him before starting my class his progress in the project. And we discussed many times in some algorithmic aspects related to courses that Jeremy took with me in
yes.
data structure or OOP.
Yes.
I think this is a typical successful computer science project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it's combining conversion tool and finding solution to make this conversion tool a successful one. Using computer science knowledge, I think there is behind this game a huge, tremendous algorithmics coding effort. I would like just, Jeremy, to see your code and see what about the documentation. My student knows very well that documentation for me means a lot, and because this will make a software reusable, you know, because they will be read by other people and they need documentation to understand what's happening in each section of the code and then maybe change it or reuse it again or adding some aspects to it. So I congratulate you. But I have to admit with Father Milky that your presentation was emphasized mainly on some aspect that may seem not related to
I understand. Oh yeah, sorry.
And this is a computer science presentation, so I would prefer to give some time to show better and value better what you did in the computer sciences.
All right.
Can I answer this question? Just to answer those questions. At the beginning, we had.
I would like to hear also Dan's opinion about our project.
At the beginning, when he first prepared his presentation, we were a little bit lost in presenting what he did or in presenting the idea of the game. And I am going to ask him the question just to highlight what we are talking about. So at the end, we can see the code. Again, we have database, we have code, we have algorithm, and we have mathematics also. So I think during the whole semester, he did use and he showed in class all the elements he learned or we teach or any computer scientist know the student get in his work. This is first. And second, even in management or even in software engineering, at the end, it is a process. So we are supposed to have and build a certain background in publishing, in asking for budget, in doing the business plan and all these, but they are part of also.
May I add? On top of course, thank you for your answer. On top of that, this more than being a computer science project, it's a capstone project for my graduation. This being said, I have a minor in computer graphics, and I only thought it was fit to highlight these extra courses through the art. I may have emphasized a bit on them, but you know, it's a presentation. It should be colorful. It should be fun. There's a big document that you can read, but it's boring.
It's an original idea from more than 1 year. We started with the idea. Even the idea is original. Jeremy worked from more than 1 year. So
6 months.
Yes, the idea. Do you remember we had some shop?
Yeah.
We started with the idea. So it's for the first time. It's really a professional project from A to Z. The programming in any project will take only 30% of the whole project. The software engineering and everything else, from the idea to the end, the programming will take only 30%. What you did for the first time is really a professional project from A to Z. It's a game at the end. The game can choose whatever you want, and all the difficulties you will pass them. Okay?
Yes.
So it's a great job.
Thank you.
Programming. So there's a lot of what I see. The main issue is that you choose sounds as a game. It's your right. It's an original game. This is what you want, and you achieve it. You achieve it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
We can see a lot of elements
Yes.
in your work. If I ask you to distribute the 100% of the work over each component.
Oh, that I worked on. Okay, so Yes. Now I would say 10% thinking about how the game works, the game designing the game itself. Then like I would say another 10 to 15% allocated towards studying digital signal processing and how the music works and like its equivalent in coding. And then a good 35%, I guess, 40% of coding, and I would say even 50% if in the coding I include the fine-tuning part to make the game entertaining and modifying the values. So that's that. And the remaining 30% would be towards the art. Now the art itself, if I had done all the art myself, the art would have taken maybe 50% of my time. But as this is a computer science project and the time was limited, yeah, I got it down to like 30% of my time while using freelance artists. And thank you very much.